Key to the petrodollar deal, which is really the key to my thinking in all of this, is not so much the dollar being sold for oil globally. Sure, that's huge. But more along the lines of reinvesting all reserves into U.S. Treasuries, which fund our spending addiction. That's the key, really, to understanding a lot of this.
While the US clings to treasuries, sanctions, and a crumbling petrodollar system, 11 countries in Asia and 5 more in the Middle East have quietly gone live with something far more dangerous than any gold peg or digital currency: an untraceable, gold-backed settlement network designed to bypass every US control point. It's called mBridge. It settles trades in just 7 seconds, slashes fees by 98%, and never touches SWIFT. And it's backed by real gold stored in vaults, stretching from Hong Kong to soon Saudi Arabia. The first test trades have already taken place. This isn't a theory, it's active, it's expanding, and it could dismantle US financial dominance faster than anyone expects.
Start by the Global South, or with the Global South, and say that they are trying to break free from the Western hegemony, largely because of the mismanagement of our monetary system, our fiscal irresponsibility, and the weaponization of the Treasury market. As far as what's happening here, you nailed it. I do think that gold is being brought back into the country and is quietly being reintroduced to the system to back the U.S. Treasury market to lower borrowing costs. There are very few ways that I can think of where you can actually have demand for the Treasury without raising interest rates high enough to break the system. So if it's pegged to gold, which I believe it will ultimately be, you lower your borrowing costs to a level that actually might allow us to reshore our manufacturing and grow our way out of this problem. I think that's where we're heading. So really the BIS, in an act of espionage, right, taken from a James Bond plot, pulled out at the 12th hour saying that they would not be able to be part of a system that would allow countries to sidestep Western sanctions. Say it's as if the innovation hub of the BIS, who had been developing this with China, Hong Kong, Thailand, and the UAE for 4 years, just came to the realization that Russia was the R in BRICS. This was done in a very dirty way, and I think it really upset the BRICS, and rightfully so. So to say that we weren't given what we had hoped, well, I think that's fair to say. But if we go to the meeting before that meeting, when the BIS pulled out, we were told, indeed, that Dilma Rousseff, the president of Brazil, former president of Brazil, and the head of the new development bank said, yeah, we've agreed in principle to a new settlement system traded over mBridge, and the new settlement system is called the unit. It will be 40% gold-backed redeemable, 60% a basket of BRICS plus currencies. That's what we were expecting. That's not what we got because of this. But if you look closely now, I think it's coming. 11 Asianic countries, the countries in Southeast Asia, with 5 Middle Eastern countries, are connected to this system, which is mBridge, and allows settlement in 7 seconds versus 3 to 5 days that SWIFT takes, including you don't have to go back and forth between the dollar twice in order to achieve your transaction. A 98% reduction in fees without any SWIFT interference. That's the rails. Now we'll get into the gold discussion, I'm sure, but it's important to know that this vehicle, if you will, is operational. This is what the BIS Innovation Hub pulled out of. In 2022, they did 22 million in cross-border payments from 20 central banks with their respective central bank digital currencies to prove that it was actually operational. And indeed, it is operational, and now connecting these countries in Southeast Asia and the Middle East, which right now represent nearly 40% of global GDP, just proves not only is it operational, that it's expanding, and there are countries that are willing to sign on. These are the first. Key to the petrodollar deal, which is really the key to my thinking in all of this, is not so much the dollar being sold for oil globally. Sure, that's huge. But more along the lines of reinvesting all reserves into U.S. Treasuries, which fund our spending addiction. That's the key, really, to understanding a lot of this. So yes, that is true. And that's where Zoltan Pozsar comes into all of this, who used to work at the New York Fed, understands the plumbing of the financial system maybe better than anyone. He calls where we are right now Bretton Woods III. Bretton Woods I, when we took over for the pound sterling after World War II. Bretton Woods II, loosely, to your point, when we became the petrodollar. And that kind of ended, right? That ended when the Saudis say, well, we're going to take other currencies too, no more exclusivity. Bretton Woods III right now, a system that's all about transparency, blockchain, mBridge, instant settlement, instant veracity, instant auditing, and gold. The function of gold acts in this case not to replace the currency, but to replace what stands behind the currency. In this case, it would be the treasury market. It is trust, and when put on a distributed ledger with instant auditing, instant veracity, yes, you are getting as close to that trust situation that is needed as you'll ever find. Let's call it the Belt Road. The idea is to internationalize the yuan for trade amongst the Belt Road, which is all throughout this area, in particular Asia and Africa, eventually into South America, to facilitate trade over the mBridge system, which is instant settlement, free from SWIFT intervention, and settle any and all imbalances in gold, which will be built amongst a series of multi-jurisdictional vaults. The first vault, built by the Shanghai Gold Exchange, operated by the Bank of China, will be in Hong Kong. Whenever there is deliveries out of China, it has to come out of Hong Kong. So it would be deliverable right now in China for any country that's doing business with China and accepting yuan in payment. They can deliver that directly to the Shanghai Metals Exchange in Hong Kong and take delivery off of the exchange if they want, or store it there if they want. The next one that is going to be built will be in Saudi Arabia, and then from there on it will be sprinkled throughout the Belt Road, eventually throughout Asia, Africa, and South America, as a way to disintermediate, if you will, or to break up from having one player hold all of the metal. It will be sprinkled amongst all of these jurisdictions to even establish more trust, so that it's not jurisdictional, that everybody has some gold amongst all of these jurisdictions. And it makes it much easier, rather than, say, like the COMEX or the Bank of England holding everyone's gold. It will be spread around this entire new ecosystem to not only provide the legitimacy that gold does and the settlement and authenticity that the blockchain does, but to have it spread amongst various jurisdictions, so you don't get the moment like the Bank of England saying to Venezuela, yeah, it's your gold, but we're not giving it back to you. Sorry. We don't want to see that. And this is, I think, a way to really make it more foolproof in terms of its acceptance and of its legitimacy. And it won't be the country's vaults, the country's gold, rather. It won't be the People's Bank of China's gold or Saudi Arabia's gold per se. What it will be gold that will allow these countries to facilitate trade, right? It's not the gold that's owned by the People's Bank of China, or the gold that would be owned by, in this case, the Central Bank of Saudi Arabia. It would be more along the lines of the gold that they want to facilitate trade through probably a series of their largest commercial banks. It's a way to trade and settle in gold, not to post your own country's sovereign gold. So there's a little bit of a distinction there, but nonetheless, it's using gold as in essence, as the reserve, or as the authenticity of a system that is trying to find trust in a world that seems to have gone astray from trust. All of that is done on mBridge, first and foremost, the auditing and the instant settling. There will be auditing done, I'm sure, by whoever is running the vaults, whether it be the Shanghai Exchange or auditors within the countries that these vaults are spread throughout. The exact details of things like that, who's auditing, aren't really available at this moment. But look at it this way. If they're trying to be legitimate, if they're trying to do this the right way, the last thing they'll do is allow any type of questions as to that. It's deliverable, and that's the most important thing. And when it's on the blockchain, it has to be. The whole purpose of the blockchain is to give veracity, to give immutability. And that's what mBridge is. Instant settlement, instant veracity. Now, as far as who's auditing it, I'm sure I don't want to bypass it like saying it's not an important detail, but I assure you those details will be worked out so that all the players who are depositing their gold amongst and that's the thing, it's not just in one vault. If it were in one vault, I would understand that. It will be amongst a series of multi-jurisdictional vaults, and everyone will sprinkle their gold in there to eliminate this kind of problem. You could either move it from one cage to another. Here's here's China's, here's Saudi Arabia's, here's Russia's, here's whatever, or they can have it delivered. So part of the plan is it can be stored or delivered. And that was also the exact same thing with the unit. Deliverable upon request doesn't need to be delivered. It can be held within this ecosystem. But look, you know, the same thing could be said about COMEX. It should be. The same thing could be said about the LBMA. It should be. And this is the whole concept of rehypothecation with these two exchanges. This is not rehypothecation. And the way that it isn't, it's cash and carry. I want it right now. I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to exchange it. Bang, give it to me. And if it's not there, and if there's a delay, very quickly, it just derails the whole thing. Right now they do. And it's not a necessity. They don't have to, but they can. And that's the difference. So it's not a currency backed by gold. It's not like the dollar is backed by gold, but you have the option of buying gold with dollars off of COMEX. It's the same thing here, that the real delineation is the ability to convert yuan into gold at yuan prices off of the Shanghai exchange immediately. The test trades, the first two test trades were between the UAE and China for gold and for oil, not off of this new system, which has just been introduced. It's just been announced that they are now trying to internationalize the yuan and make it redeemable in gold through the Shanghai Metals Exchange in Hong Kong. And so you can store it there or you can take delivery. It's just been announced. So whether or not it has happened, it will happen. And then they said phase 2 is to build the multi-jurisdictional vaults. The first one in Hong Kong, the second one that is about to be built is in Saudi Arabia, and then from there all throughout the Belt Road.
So, while the West continues to weaponize treasuries and cling to outdated systems, a new gold-backed architecture is quietly replacing it. Faster, decentralized, and completely outside US jurisdiction. From Hong Kong to Saudi Arabia, this network is already operational, and its expansion means one thing: the US can no longer control the flow of value worldwide. The monetary reset isn't coming, it's already here, and gold is at the center of it. Now that you know what just went live, you're going to need to see what's coming next. So click into the next video, because this channel is tracking every move they don't want you to see.